Hello, so here we go with 2-2, solving two-step equations. I would like you to write down your essential question. What is the process you would use to solve a 2 or more step equation? Again, remember, if at any time I'm going too fast, you push pause. So we're going to get going right away. All right, here's just a little slide. We're not going to write down everything, but we will write down some stuff. A two-step equation involves two operations. To solve 2 times x plus 3 equals 15, you undo the operations in reverse order of the order of operations. So first of all, oftentimes this would be written as 2x plus 3 equals 15. And a lot of times you guys are like, I don't know what that 2 is doing to the x. Well, it's multiplying it. So when you solve this, when I'm putting it together, so if I'm doing it, what this tells me is that first, when you're putting it together, you multiply, and then you add. So in order to undo that, so I multiply, then I add. In order to undo that, I just go back up the ladder. So in order to undo your add, you subtract, and then to undo this, you divide. So we're just going to kind of go back up. If you want to write it the opposite way and put the minus on top, totally cool. So if I was going to do that, I'd first draw my line down. I would have to undo the plus 3 first. So I'd subtract 3 from both sides. 15 minus 3 is 12. Drop down my 2x. So we did a bunch of these last year. Just want to remind you how it goes. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. I box my answer so that I can find it later. All right, so what I want you to get onto your paper is going to be something like this. You should get the piece right here. You're going to undo the operations in reverse order of the order of operations. Get something to that effect written down in your notes. All right, you can make a little thought cloud, however you want to do that, but make sure you do it in the reverse order of operations. And so sometimes we say you do SAD MEP. All right, so let's look here. I just want you to think through them real fast. You can choose here, what do you want to write, what don't you want. This says 3 times r plus 16 equals 31. Which piece do you do first? You would do this. And then it says the inverse operation. Do you remember yesterday? Inverse operation of that, plus 16 minus 16. This one, 1/2 times d minus 7 equals 10. What do you undo first? Undo your minus 7. Opposite of that is plus 7. Number 10, let's see. We've got negative 5y plus 2. So you undo the plus 2 first with a minus 2. So let's go through. We're going to try several examples together. Here we go. There's 2 here. What I want you to do is push pause, try them on your own, and then come back with me once you've finished them to check your answer. I'll walk them through. So push pause now and do them. All right, you're back. First thing, write down the equation. You must show your work. If you do not show your work, you get no credit. Even if you can do it in your head, I want you to write down the steps so you can see what is my thought process. So this one, it says 5 equals t. Oh gosh, what's that 2 doing? It's dividing. All right. So as I'm doing it, I've got divide by 2 and minus 3. So what do I undo first? Well, I just go back up. So I'm going to undo my 3 and then undo the 2. So add 3 to both sides. Here's what your work should look like. 8 equals t divided by 2. Yes, anything you write on the left, you have to write on the right. How do I undo that divided by 2? I times 2, and I write it up high. So I get 2 times 8, 16 equals t. Did you get it? If you didn't, figure out where was my mistake, what did I do? This one, 1/4 equals 1/4 h plus 4. Sometimes this looks a little harder. Not so bad though. So as I'm doing it, I multiply by 1/4, then I'm adding 4. That's in my do and undo chart. So how do I undo? I've got to undo the plus 4 first. So I subtract 4 from both sides. Well, that is somewhat problematic. So let's see. If I have a quarter and I want to spend $4, I have to borrow $3.75 from my neighbor. But that's not going to help me with this 1/4 here. So 3 3/4. I'm going to make that into an improper fraction. So I J-hook it. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15. If at any point in time I'm going too fast, that's the beauty of video. You just stop, you rewind, you listen again, and you ask me questions in the morning if you need to. All right, now, how in the world do I undo this 1/4? Well, really, it's timesing by 1, dividing by 4. So to undo the times by 1, I divide by 1. To undo the dividing by 4, I multiply by 4. So 4 over 1 over here. And look, do you see something super nice that happens? The 4 and the 4 simplify out. So I end up with 15 equals h. If you need to, go back. What in the world did she just do? Stop and ask questions tomorrow. Either way, we're good. All right, next one. This one looks different. What is different about it? Yeah, that 4 is underneath the whole stinking thing. So here's what I'm going to do. You write it down, try it, then come back. So pause, come back. Here's my thought. Because this whole thing is over the line, I'm going to put some parentheses in there. Okay? So what that really means is, in this case, in my do and undo chart, I've got to do that top piece first. So in this case, because the x minus 2 is on the top, if I was doing the order of operations, I'd have to minus the 2 first and then divide by 4. So I go up the opposite way. I have to times everything by 4 first and then add the 2. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to write it high. I've got a times by 4. Oh, I hit a button. And over here I times by 4 as well. 4 times 6 is 24 equals x minus 2. Ooh, this is a nice problem. Now I can do that, not a problem. How do you undo minus 2? You add 2, drop down my x. Yes, you must show your work. No work, no credit, because I love you. 26 equals x. Shoop. Done. I box it so I feel accomplished. Let's see, what is the difference between these two equations? Because there's a big difference. On this one right here, I want you to write them both down. This one, can't really see that I'm pointing at it. This one, you, in your do and undo chart, like doing, you divide by 2 and then add the 13. This one, because the x plus 13 is on the top, in your do undo chart, you would add the 13 and then divide by 2. So I want you to stop. Let's see, I'll write that down in my do undo chart. You don't have to make the do undo chart. I'm just writing it down so you can see my thought process. In this one, it's divide by 2 and then add 13, so you've got to undo it that way. This one over here, because of this, I would add the 13, divide by 2, so I've got to undo it that way. So you push pause, answer them, come back and check with me. All right, here we go. This one, I'm going to minus 13 first. Be very careful of your signs. See how they're both negative? So you get negative 35 right there. Did you miss it? Did you get it? All right, then I drop this down, so I've got x over 2. That means divide. How do you undo divide? Times. Good. So I times 2. I write it up high, so it simplifies out. Times 2, x equals negative 35 times positive 2, negative 70. All right, this one over here. Because of this over the whole thing, I've got to times by 2 first, then minus the 13. So I'm going to write the times 2 up high because look at that, simplifies out, times 2 over here. So I drop down my x plus 13 over here, negative 22 times 2, negative 44. Did you get it? Then I subtract 13. When I do that, drop down my x, and I get, oh, they're both negative, so you add them, keep the sign, negative 57. Done. All right, just a couple more to practice. So you write them down, pause, quick answer them, and then you'll be done with your video for the day. So pause, answer. All right, you're back. I'm just gonna go through them fast, and if you need to slow it down, you do that. This one, I'm gonna minus 2 from both sides, negative 3. Drop down my a over 4. Yes, you're showing all your work. Times 4, times 4. Those cancel out, so I'm left with a equals negative 12. This one, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So I get 15. Drop down my 3n. Divide by 3, divide by 3. N equals 5. Now if you ever disagree, just let me know in the morning. I'm not offended. Every once in a while I go too fast. Oh no, the x is on the right. Does it matter? It does not. All right. This 7, is it positive 7 or negative 7? Positive. So therefore I subtract 7 from both sides. Be super careful. Negative 1 minus 7, negative 8. Drop down your 8x. Divide by 8. Negative 1 equals x. You're golden. Last one on this row at least. So I draw my line down, subtract 2 from both sides. Be really careful. Did you get negative 10? If you didn't, that messes everything up. Be careful of the signs. Drop this down. You've got y over 5 times 5 up high. Look at that, cancels out to 1. Y equals negative 50. Box it up. Last one. Oh gosh, 7.5. What in the world am I going to do with that 7.5? It's not a big deal. You just make it into an improper fraction. So 7.5, if I j-hook that, 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1. 15 over 2. Now it's not so bad. Equals x plus 3 over 2. Okay, how do I undo everything here? I've got to take care of that 2 first because of this parentheses up here that you put in yourself. All right, so I times 2 times 2. Look, they simplify out. 15 equals, these simplify out as well. X plus 3. How do I undo that plus 3? I subtract 3, and I end up with 12. Did you get it? There you go. I love these. I think they are super fun. Once you get them, they hopefully will be really fun for you. Hopefully this went fast. If not, that's why we do it on video, so you can take the extra time you need. Make sure you check in with me in the morning. Have a great day.